Hello, welcome to AIM Allies. Decided the catchphrase for this channel is made for the community, not for the industry. We're here today to talk about the latest and greatest in suppressor technology. Once again, here to talk about CAT. And not a coincidence, I think CAT is releasing pretty much the highest tech, latest and greatest that you can get your hands on right now as a civilian. Personally, I rely on Pew Science quite a bit on my suppressor buying decisions. You can't really watch a video. I'm going to say this every time we talk about suppressors on video. You can't really listen to a video and understand how a suppressor sounds. It's very complicated. There's a whole bunch of inner ear response things that go on. GA is way smarter than me and better at talking about volume, but I'm going to do my best here to talk about these cans and give you an impression. So we're here specifically to talk about the CAT WB. That is the CAT white bread. And the white bread is the 556 suppressor. So this is their new, what they call a K-can length, and we're going to be comparing it against the CGS Helios QD TI, which is a titanium can made by CGS. That's honestly got a lot of similarities to the WB, but after today, I just got this. I just shot a couple hundred rounds. Definitely some differences here that I think we should talk about. So let's talk about the white bread that I got here. This is the 718 made out of Inconel with the hub back. That means you can put your own back on. I already have put on a Rearden Atlas. Rearden is my favorite way to attach suppressors to firearms with their taper lock system. This worked perfectly, absolutely no problems. Not that I expected to have any problems with it, but this allows this to mount right to my taper locks on my firearms there. This is safe. That is the Rearden flash hider, and you can see this just goes right on there, which this video is going to get demonetized immediately. Not that I get monetized, but if I did in the future, that would immediately get me dismonetized. Also, we've never really talked about who I am, what this channel's for. So I'm just a guy. I like firearms. I do training classes. I shoot all sorts of competitions, multi-gun, pistol only, PRS. So I'm no slouch. My results are usually pretty competitive, especially at the kind of monthly club level. But I'm not a grandmaster in USPSA. PCSL doesn't have rankings like that or anything yet, but I compete regularly, I shoot a lot, and I think I have valuable input to give to the average consumer, which is who this channel is for. This channel is for the average consumer, the average civilian. I'm just a normal guy trying to provide advice to other normal guys. If you're a professional end user, maybe not the best channel, but maybe you'll find something valuable still. All right, really quickly for context here, we're gonna go over the two hosts that I tested with today. We have a 12.5 carbine length cobalt upper with a DIY lower. It's a very inexpensive lower with a LaRue trigger, radiant safety, kind of my desired accoutrement, but I built that lower just to be inexpensive. You can tell that is a brace lower for shorter barrels. And then we have my kind of main squeeze here. This is my Radian 14.5 mid-length. So we have a carbine length, we have a mid-length, we have a slightly shorter barrel, slightly longer barrel. And I did notice some differences across these hosts that I think are worth talking about. So let's look firstly at size. This one's pretty self-explanatory. We have a K can here. We have basically a full-size can here with the Helios. The other thing you'll notice with the Helios, you have to use this little extension on the bottom because the blast chamber is really short. So with a lot of different muzzle devices, you need to have this little extension on here. This does increase the overall length. It does make it look a little not great on rifles, to be honest with you. But I've loved this suppressor, and what we'll get into is it's a little bit more modular in some ways, and it's a 30 cal suppressor. I don't actually know the bore of the WB. See, it's obviously smaller. It's made out of Inconel versus titanium, so it's a little bit heavier. That leads to a lot higher durability and higher temperatures. The Inconel is better for a more severe firing schedule than the titanium. CAT does have some recommendations on their website about how you are supposed to test. The maximum temperature of Inconel is so high that I didn't do any testing today, but I think we will in the future just to compare the two. I need to find my IR thermometer. All right, so let's talk about mounting. Like I said, this is hub. This is also hub. So all of these are able to be, well, not interchanged because you need this little length here, but on the back end, they're all compatible with the same mounts. So this also does come in a left hand. It's basically CAT's own mounting system. It's a 1x16 left hand. Honestly, just go for whichever one you can get unless you already have a bunch of hub devices, and then obviously, get the hub one just for ease. I'll put the weights on the screen so you guys can compare. Thing I didn't mention, this has an internal taper on the actual mount. So in theory, all the other mounts have this too. In theory, this would return to 0 a tiny bit better if you were swapping the mounts around in the back, which I do with this can, which is why it's so awesome. Versus this is just flat in there. This is not taper locked in there. But I don't think I would ever change this hub back for any reason. There's no reason I would go to 1/2x28. All my 1/2x28 guns have Reardon stuff on them besides my PCC, where that I do use on other guns, bolt guns, etc. that I need to change the back basically. So there's a small difference there. I do see a small advantage to the Helios there with the mounting system. But the overall length of the mounting system of this is a huge W for the AR platform. I mean, look at that. That length difference is pretty substantial. And I have to say, they actually feel very similar on the end of the rifle. This is lighter, obviously, it's titanium, but this isn't that much heavier. I think this is still 10 or 11 ounces with everything and with the, you know, mount and everything. This is, I believe, 12 plus the mount's probably 2. So it's a little heavier, 44 gram, you know, 4 ounces heavier. What is that, 40% heavier, but it's a little shorter, and I feel like it doesn't, you know, it doesn't tip as much because of that. So they actually feel pretty similar on the end of the gun. And on the 12.5, man, this thing is awesome. Like, it just, I want to do some classes with it and shoot it more just to see, because it's kind of transformed my my opinion of how that gun was shooting. It was not my favorite before with the Helios, and with this, I really like it. So I think if you have a shorter barrel AR, you could really take advantage of this technology. Even if you have a longer barrel one, you're going to be able to take advantage of it. You're not going to have to tune your gun as much, and you can certainly get away with it. I did some ejection pattern tests, which you'll see here. The Helios, as expected, had a little bit more back pressure in these tests. On the 12.5, it was extremely noticeable, where the Helios was ejecting at like 130, and this was ejecting at like 430. So this is really in a good operating window for that 12.5 carbine. Where this is not super great. On the 14.5 mid, I did notice fairly similar ejection pattern, but again, the WB is a little lower back pressure. You can see that in the ejection pattern. So let's get into sound. First, I'll say the WB, it sounds like a full-size can. It is extremely impressive, the volume coming out of that can, especially when you consider the gas dynamics. I think that, to me, is the most impressive thing about this can, which is probably obvious, but it has the most insane combination of low back pressure and good volume suppression. Like, it's way less gassy than my Helios. It's also quieter than my Helios. It's also smaller than my Helios. So I think that gives you a pretty good explanation of the advantages of the WB. All right, let's get into the biggest difference about these two cans that I noticed today. This is a 12.5 with a carbine length, like we said. This is a 14.5 mid length. And man, the Helios gasses you out on the 12.5. Even in short 6-7 shot strings, you'll see in this clip, I can actually feel the gas both spitting in my face and the cloud actually gathering. The 14.5 mid, the Helios honestly still performs really well in terms of gas. I do have a detailed video about this rifle. This is not a standard AR in terms of the operating system. It's a JPV MOS, which has extra weights on the back, interacting with an SDS that essentially locks the breech closed longer. So I think this gun is kind of like a tuned gun, even though it's not tuned, but it has a lot of the same effect. The Helios, as a result, is very pleasant on it, and it sounds really good. But the WB, there is no, you cannot really feel the gas coming out of the port with the 12.5 carbine, which I was really surprised about, honestly. I do not love this rifle in some ways. The gas to the face is just kind of a lot. And man, the WB really took care of it in a lot of ways. I'm excited to watch the clips back on the computer where I can really see what's going on, but to me, it feels like there's a lot more gas coming out of the front of this can. And you can kind of see the way it's shaped. There's a lot of ways for the gas to escape out of there, and I think it works really well. You know, I shot this can the other day just to test it before my stamp cleared, and I messaged the cat account. I was like, you know, it definitely sounds better than the Helios, definitely shorter than the Helios, but today, putting a bunch of rounds through these ARs, you can really notice the difference in the gas dynamics. To me, this is the best parts of the Flow series combined with the best parts of the RC2. It sounds amazing. I shot it like 5 shots without hearing protection just to hear how it sounds. honestly, it sounded kind of hearing safe. I think on Pew Science is like 29 at the ear, which is kind of hearing safe for at least a few shots. And man, it's so impressive. I'm really happy with it. The other things I've definitely noticed immediately, the titanium cans spark. They absolutely spark. They spark even in dusk like this. We're kind of at sunset here. I did notice some sparking with my titanium can. So it's, you know, it's not a big deal for me, but it is a big deal for some people. And I'm at our long range right now, and I'm staring at a deer just on the berm. So I'm glad there's no one here shooting right now, which is why I'm over here filming. But man, what a nice time to be outside. Man, just getting to the end of this video here. Overall recommendations and thoughts on this can. I really do think this can is kind of the best between a flow-through can and a, you know, high suppression can like the RC2. You really do get that sound reduction. You really do get that gas dynamics that you want on an AR. Cost, the Helios is a very expensive can, $1,400. This was $1,190. That did come in a nice Pelican box with all the you know, accoutrement for the mounting and everything. This came in a little plastic case that you can clean it in with the other mount, which it did come with the 1/2x28 mount, which I have in my pocket. So you can use this if you want. I honestly just went straight to the hub because, yeah, like I said, all my cans are ready for it, or all my guns are ready for it. All right. I don't really know what else to talk about. To be honest with you, I just needed another can. I was sick of moving that can around every single firearm that I had, and I want to get a can to just live on this 14.5 full time. The WB is it. It has absolutely fulfilled what I'm looking for. I think the 14.5 with a K can like that, a really efficient K can, is a perfect combo for, you know, a do-it-all AR. This, on the other hand, is still an amazing rifle, and obviously the length of the overall package is a lot shorter, especially when you have the WB on there. I mean, that's a pretty cool package. And you know, again, that's why I love Hub. It's on there. Like, that is on there. You really have to wrench it to get it off. So it's a really great mounting system. Very happy with it. Yeah, I think that's it. This can fucking owns. Like, I legitimately don't know what else to say about it. I think as I get more into shooting it, maybe I'll have other things to say. But yeah, cat. Well done. Well done with the cat white bread. It's definitely a step up. It's a step in the technologically advanced direction. It's impressive. Also, like, subscribe, all those things you're supposed to do. Support the boys. Thank you.